got some John Bonham type stuff. So now what we want to do, and what a lot of great jazz drummers do, a lot of the bebop and the post-bop drummers really broke up what we call the triplet partial. So we've already talked about that the triplet is 3 parts to it, 3 notes. 1 and up. The partials, obviously, are we're taking part of those triplets. It can either be the 1 and up, 2 and up, 3 and up, 4 and up, or it can be the last 2 partials, 1 and up, 2 and up, 3 and up, 4 and up. For our intents and purposes, the most important part of our feel is going to be the first partial and the last partial. 1 and up, 2 and up, 3 and up, 4 and up, 1 and up, 2 and up, 3 and up, 4 and up. And that's really critical. You should practice that and understand that. 1 and up, 2 and up, 3 and up, 4 and up, 1 and up, 2 and up, 3 and up, 4 and up, 1 and up, 2 and up. Okay, so yes, that's a shuffle rhythm, okay? However, though, that is really going to lead us into how we're eventually going to interpret the 8th notes. The binary beat is going to be felt like that. Okay, but a cool exercise to kind of end this lesson off with for maybe the intermediate or advanced players is we can still take this lesson 6 with all the triplets on the beat, and we can break up the partials a little bit, okay, between the voices of the drum kit. So the first way to break up the partial is we're going to take the first 2 partials on the snare drum and the last partial on the bass drum. Okay, so for the 16-bar exercise, we're not going to play the bass drum as written. We're going to just play the snare drum and the bass drum only as part of every triplet on the last partial. So I'll do the reading exercise with that variation. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you're following along at home, you'll see I kind of botched something on line 3 in the middle there, but I kept going. And as always, the point of a reading exercise, we keep going. Okay, so that's pretty cool. You've got the first 2 partials on the snare drum, last 2 partials on the bass drum. You can get a little bit of a Roy Haynes type feeling there. Something to kind of play with, something to kind of mess with. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is the last 2 partials, okay? And we're going to go to line 15, page 15, I keep doing that, line 10. This is a good exercise. We're going to play only the last 2 partials of the snare drum against the ride cymbal pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'll play that slower. 1, 2. Okay, so that's a really important thing as we get to later in the book. You hear a lot of drummers like Art Blakey doing that. Tony Williams. Okay, a little bit of an idea of how they do that. I can't play it as well as them, obviously, but at least that's the idea of some of this stuff you can do. Okay, one last little variation we can do is that we're going to take the triplet partial, all right, the triplet. We're going to play the first partial with the snare drum, the last 2 partials with the bass drum. This is going to be a little bit of workout for the foot and give us kind of an Elvin Jones type feel. So we're going to try the reading exercise with that variation. 1, That's a great one for the foot. For some of you that might be into playing rock or that type of stuff, you could make, instead of the jazz ride pattern, we could change that to quarter notes and mess around with some of these things by putting the snare drum on 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Same idea, some John Bonham type stuff. Okay, good workout for the foot. Okay, so triplets, lesson 6 of the syncopation book. Spend some time playing the triplets, okay, for the intermediate and advanced player. There's some really great exercises in here. And then we're going to talk next time about how the first and last partial of the triplet is going to relate to the 8th note, which is really the meat of what we're getting at here. We're going to really understand, okay, how this language works. So another week on triplets, and we'll be back for our next lesson. If you've been enjoying these lessons, please consider taking an online lesson with me. I know these little YouTube things are great, the little lessons you get online and stuff like that, but it's only part of the puzzle. Having a teacher you can check in with to see how your progress is, to see if you're doing it correctly, is the whole package. So for all of you out there learning on YouTube and learning on social media right now, there's a lot of great info with a lot of outstanding drummers. I commend you. Keep yourself busy. Keep practicing. I also recommend that you study, that you hit somebody up, even for a lesson, just to kind of check in with them, make sure we're doing it the right way. Okay? Have a great day. Stay healthy. Thanks.